real business owners.
Welcome back to the Real Business Owners Podcast. This is episode 55 with myself, T-Unit. I'll call myself T-Unit today, and Kilo G.
Name.
This is our gangster day because we've done some gangster shit over the years, like build multiple businesses.
Yeah.
So that's what today's episode is going to be about is, how do you build several businesses at one time? We've got a couple messages on Instagram about, hey, how do you juggle your time? How do you build multiple businesses? Do you schedule certain blocks to focus on this business and then move over to this business? Mm-hmm. And so we've have a few that are obviously running several businesses at the same time or have a business and they're starting that second business, kind of that side hustle or whatever it is. And this is a subject that some people say don't do multiple things at once because it's a distraction.
Yeah, which can be true.
Yeah, it can be true.
If you try and start them all at one time, you're probably going to spread yourself too thin, fall flat on your face.
I think that might be one of the issues, right? Is if you're trying to do 3 startups at one time, a startup's going to demand obviously a lot more of your attention than a business on year 3 or 4 or 5 once it's at least break even. Or making a little bit of money.
Yep.
And once it's making a little bit of money, that affords you the ability to put people in place. Right? And I think that maybe that's where some people are going wrong, is they're not, we were talking about this obviously prior to coming on, and this is, a subject that Kale said that maybe we should talk about, and it kind of matched up with some of the messages that we've received. So we wanted to shine light on it a little bit. Kale, tell them a little bit about your thoughts on trying to operate several businesses. I mean, you've been in the business game longer than I have, and you've always had a few things going at one time.
Yeah. We've lost on a lot of things. Hell, we've done a whole episode on things that we've lost on.
I think we went over like 5 or 6, but there was still plenty more that we could have covered.
Exactly. So here's the one big tip that I would give for people that want to have multiple irons in the fire or multiple business ventures is you got to know your strengths and you've got to start businesses around those strengths, right? Like, whether that's like I sold tax and accounting for years, even though I'm not a CPA, I sold it for years. So I had developed, and I was always naturally pretty good at it too. Like I love talking business, I love talking numbers, I love talking to other business people, right?
Exactly.
And so, when I started a tax and accounting firm on top of the Forex business that Jeremy and I had, it was like, dude, it kind of aligned with my strengths, right? Every time we've tried to start businesses that just you hear do great numbers or you hear are badass businesses or they sound cool, like I'm not gonna say every time, but a lot of times you can fall flat on your face, right? And so
we've done it.
Yeah, there's actually a book I read. I read this a few years ago, Strength Finder 2.0. And it was all about, and I kind of believe with this, not that you can't develop strengths, but we are all naturally
good at something.
Better at things than others, right? Like if I'm a professional baseball player, how many professional baseball players sit on the bench in the batting lineup because they're not great batters, but they're great outfielders, right? And they've doubled down on becoming the best outfielder in their career.
Or the hitters, because there's pinch hitters.
Exactly. There's guys that sit the bench, don't play the field, they only hit. They're DHs because they are naturally just great hitters, right? And so they double down on improving those strengths. So the whole book was really about like, all right, developing strengths and getting better at things you're not naturally as good at is going to take X amount of effort for X amount of years, and it's going to take away effort that you could be doubling down on your natural strengths, right? And you can actually get a lot further by doubling down on your natural strengths versus trying to make your weaknesses better. People put a lot of work in trying to become better at things they're just not ever going to be great at. They can get better at them, but they're not going to ever be great, right? Dude, and I kind of believe in that.
That makes sense. Well, I've never heard it put like that. But let's say somebody basically designated 10 years of their life and they focused on the shit that they're good at. Where they would be versus 10 years of your life focusing on what you're not good at. By the end of the 10 years, will you be good at whatever it is that you're focusing on? Of course. But which one of those areas would serve you best in terms of you would probably get more results focusing on what you're already good at and doubling down on that, and then maybe hiring somebody, if we're talking about this in business sense, or onboarding somebody that is the pinch runner because he's a fast runner, but he's not really good at hitting. Yeah. Or somebody that's a good hitter, but that's not fast, so they don't put him out in the outfield, so he's the designated hitter. Exactly. Right? So you're filling the positions with the people that are already strong in that designated area.
I'll give you a great example because the great example is you. So what did I do when I could tell that Trevor was to the point where he was like, I'm going to start doing my own thing. Things weren't jiving with one of our old partners. Yeah. I was like, dude, I see Trevor's strengths. He is great at managing people. He's great at building culture. He's great at molding a team.
Yeah.
Like, I'm decent at it. You're great at it. I'm not great at that. I'm great at networking.
You're really great at networking.
You know, and so it's like, I can keep getting business and bringing it into the team that you've molded, right? Yeah. The team that you're a great leader, right? With people. And so that's one great example of what we've done. And I'm not going to say go and get partners if you want to have multiple business ventures, because you don't have to get people on your team. I wanted to be Trev's partner. Partnerships come with challenges. We have partners. We have great partners. It allows us to have multiple business ventures. Because we do have 4 different partners between different business ventures, and some of them are great at things. Some of us are better at things than others, but all together, despite all the challenges, we have partnerships to be able to run certain multiple ventures in order for us to keep them all thriving. Because if you're trying to do it all,
not happening.
You're going to fall flat on your face. You got to have great people behind you, whether they're a partner, whether they're not.
You can only do that for a period of time. Like if you're a solopreneur, right, and you're just by yourself, you might be able to handle some of your own Facebook ads and doing some of your own selling, and then try to fulfill the order. Right. That's a way to get going, but that's not sustainable.
It's not.
You will burn out. Yeah. You're burning the candle at multiple ends, and it's just going to run, and you'll have nothing left to give. Yeah. And that's the hardest part in business, is when you're so used to handling all of these different things, then trusting that somebody else is going to come in and do just as good of a job, if not better, than you, because it's your business, it's your baby, it's your livelihood, and that usually, the first time that you start giving up control, it's very difficult. Then you start micromanaging that individual, making sure they're doing it how you wanted to do it, because it's your business, it's your baby, and you don't believe somebody's going to run your business the way that you would run your business. And I would say that that's one of my biggest weaknesses, and I would contribute lack of growth in some cases to that weakness that I have, because I wanted to control so many different things and have my hands in everything just to ensure the success of the business. In reality, I was stunning the growth of the business by not letting go. Right? Because one man can only handle so much.
And that's honestly why I brought you over to the accounting side, because I was like, man, I can grow this bigger. I can grow this better if I have the right people running the team, right? Because I already know, like, I just have to be real with myself. Like, I'm a decent leader in areas. I'm not a great leader in that area. And so it's like, dude, okay, Trev, you've molded culture for how many years, right? And I know we were shifting and we were going back and forth on those companies for a while. But then it was like, okay, now Trevor's building and molding our team over at the accounting company. Culture molding the culture and team and took over, and you delegated a lot of your duties over there so you could put your focus on this. That way you're not spread so thin. We're always spread a little bit thin. Of course. You've got multiple business ventures. You're going to be spread a little bit thin, because it is going to be fires and things that you got to be putting out almost constantly. But you can put majority of your focus on your baby at that time. Exactly. There might be someone rise up that takes over the roles that you're doing at easier and takes over the roles. I know we're talking to someone right now that's going to maybe take over some of my roles, bringing them into the company with the networking and so, because I know, even with the RBO stuff, man, there's more we could be doing to grow it, right? If we had that. And so I think that's the first big tip is know your strengths. Build a good team around you, whether they're partners, whether they're not partners, whether you gave them profit sharing, however you incentivize them, whatever. If they have bought into your team and they want to be a part of something great, which you should create that. Then you have the ability to build multiple business ventures.
I think what happens in business is, when you're having a tough time having employees stepping up, is because they don't believe that there's any more opportunity.
Right.
They might feel like that they're at the ceiling of where they're at within your company. And what's the point of giving more effort if there's not more to potentially receive?
Right.
And I think that that's a mind state that is not a good mind state to have, because even if that seems like the case, you still should be going above and beyond as an employee, because just as I've told many people over the years, provides so much disproportionate value to a company that they, if you left, that they would feel it, that they would ultimately hurt.
Right.
And you go to them and say, hey, I've got a job interview over there. They don't want to see you go. And then they'll, the value will then come full circle at that point. But so the point that I'm trying to make is maybe you as an owner need to do a better job of selling the dream of where you're trying to take your company and the opportunities that could potentially be available to them. And the hard part about this is, as entrepreneurs, we understand that shit takes a long ass time to unfold. And sometimes you share the dream. Yeah. And if it doesn't happen in 3 months or 6 months, and they're like, yeah, they're dangling a carrot. They say this, they say that. The average person wants things to unfold so quick. They don't have the same patience as entrepreneurs. The
nice thing is we don't have to do that as much anymore. Because we've been in business 15 years. And look, dude, John's been with us 12, 13 years. He's got ownership in one of the companies. Coulter's been with us how many years? He's got ownership in one of the companies.
10 or 12,
right? We have people with profit sharing. We have people that have been incentivized. We did sell the dream. We backed it up. And now they have great lives. So new people come into the company, new people come into the culture, and they're like, damn, like I could work my way up into having some sort of ownership or a business or something with these guys, right? And so, dude, we don't have to lie to them, or we don't have to sell them something that we don't even fully believe in, because we've already spent years and years and years proving it, backing it up. They're like, dude, you can work up as high as you want to in this company if you're here willing to do the work.
And if you're here long enough.
Yeah.
The problem is people jump around too quick from opportunity to opportunity. Every time you jump to the next one, you start at the bottom, and then you're having to work your way up again. Yeah. And then you jump to the next one, you're at the bottom again. If you're always jumping for opportunities, you're always at the bottom trying to climb. Yeah. So the idea is to stay somewhere long enough to where you can bring value, right? Dude. And we have proof of concept when we bring in somebody new. Oh yeah, he's worked here for 8 years. He's worked here for 10 years. He's worked here for 12 years. And then they feel like, holy shit, I'm at a secure place. Yeah. I can work here for the next 10 years. And if I put in my time and I put in the work and I make the sacrifice and I go above and beyond, that there's going to be opportunities. That's a rarity in this day and age. And entrepreneurs need to do a better job of giving those type of opportunities, those leadership roles. But again, they're holding on to too many duties. Therefore, there's not a lot of opportunities for somebody to move in and take that role off of your hands, right? And so you could get to the point where, one, you don't have to show up at work anymore, and maybe your only focus is to get the jobs, and then you just go check in on your crew because you have crew leaders or whatever it is. Again, that's a very general statement, trying to cast a wide net for a lot of different industries and businesses. But the idea is, if you have somebody with you for 4, 5, 6 years, they should know your system and your business and how you like to operate. If you are a good leader, by default, you just groomed a good leader that can come in and take over some of those roles. Right. Will it be difficult? Hell yeah, it's going to be difficult, because you have a problem with giving up control. 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs have a problem with that. Yeah. But once you do it once and you see that it's not as bad as what you thought it may be, you're going to be more open to continue to do that. And I think that's really where we're at with our business, is looking to our leaders now that have been with us. Tyler over there at NextGen. You got Jared over here at Easier, and Sean over here at Easier. Great leaders. You got Coulter over there at 60-day credit repair. Right. All of these we're slowly stepping back, giving them more responsibility. Now with that, you got to understand, with more responsibility comes more opportunity for them to earn a higher wage, right? So if anything, you're not doing your business a disservice by stepping back. You're giving your employees opportunities to step up. Right. And that's in income as well when they start taking over those leadership roles.
I think so too, man.
And so it's an important topic, because I would say 60 to 70% of businesses are probably holding themselves back in some way by not giving somebody in their organization an opportunity to prove their worth, right?
Yeah, I was just commenting on a post with somebody within one of our groups the other day. It was like, man, I've got 3 separate companies, but they all feed each other, which is a whole nother point, right? Like a lot of times businesses breed new businesses that fuel each other, and that's kind of what he has. And he's cool. Like, if I could focus more time on this one app, like that would actually, I just know, like in 1 year developing this app, it would feed the other businesses and our growth would be like exponential, but I just can't find the time. And I actually commented, I was like, dude, you're not going to even make the time until you start delegating. Yeah. Okay. And the bottom line is that's your choice. Either start delegating, hire an assistant, bring in some leaders, whatever you got to do, and then that way you can make the time. That, or you just stop sleeping altogether, you know. And he laughed and he's like, "Oh yeah, man, that's good advice on the no sleep thing. I think I'll stick with that." Yeah, and that's the natural joke, but there's a little truth to it because it is so hard to give up those duties. I mean, even having one of our accountants take over some of my reports, man. Like I was so. Like I had my own method, so I didn't think anybody else could do it. And like I had my own quality control, like checks, and it's a big deal. Like I do not want an affiliate to get a wrong report or a wrong payment or whatever. So it's very like important for me to give that up. And you know, sometimes there are still little mistakes here and there, but it's like hardly.
You have to go through that though.
You do.
You're gonna. So that's another point. So if you relinquish some sort of role, don't expect that to come with zero mistakes on somebody else's part. It's sometimes when you take a step backwards and you give somebody that leadership role, it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy road for that individual to figure out everything that you had to figure out. And my guess is when you were new at it, you made some mistakes too, but you ended up figuring it out. Right. And so just because you take a step backwards and give up a role and there's a couple of mistakes being made, that's the learning curve. That's just learning in general, right? And so you have to trust that individual is going to go through a little bit of a learning curve and be willing to go through that and not say, oh, well, this isn't working. You can't do it the way that I do, and then just take it back. Yeah. You can't do that. And I honestly think that, you know, and I was guilty of it too, saying, well, this is my way of doing it. Nobody can do it the way that I do it. No. And it's just a way to protect your ego. It's a way to protect and feel more valuable, right? Let's be real. We're all humans, right? There could be you're not the only human on earth that can do that one specific duty. There's other humans that could do it too. Yeah. You know, and people.
You're all pretty much replaceable. I am. You are.
Everybody
you know what I mean?
Like, everybody is. Yeah. And it takes a while in business to realize that once you start seeing individuals actually step up and take roles. Yeah.
That's actually one of the things I made in my notes not too long ago. It was under partnerships actually, because you know I was writing some stuff on a chapter for that, and it was
in your book.
Yeah, and it was just honestly a few days ago. There's pros and cons, right? We're able to build multiple businesses. We have partners, you know, or profit sharing, or, you know, I mean, people that are rising up to become leaders.
Overrides and stuff,
you have to understand that, like, people naturally always see what they do, but not what everybody else does. Right. And then so you get people thinking, oh, they're doing it all. Right. Yeah. And you have to put yourself in check with that if you want to get other people put themselves in check with it. And so if you are going to build multiple businesses and you have partners or you have leaders that you're getting profit sharing to, like you got to have that discipline to put your damn self in check. You got to be able to realize and see what other people are doing, not just you. Right. And then you've got to, you've got to have a compensation model where people don't have resentment. Because if one guy is bringing in like 90% of the revenue and another guy's handling 90% of the fulfillment, but there's all these other people reaping the benefits, then that whole partnership is going to explode and your multiple business adventures are going to explode. Yeah. And so implode, explode. I mean, what do you say there? All there?
Yeah, it's all that's gonna both. And both will happen.
And so I feel like it's important too that as you start growing multiple businesses and you taking on partners and things like that, dude, you've got to have things talked about. Before it gets to that point. You know, we've been pretty good about that. Like we just had hard conversations like, hey man, like here's what we're seeing. They agreed. Like everyone felt it. So let's put these measures in place. You're running that company. You're gonna make X amount before profit sharing, right? Before distribution. So you're running that company. Yeah. You're going to make this off of your production before, profit sharing. So you have those things, salary caps or incentives or percentages. You have all that worked out going into it so that you don't feel that. Like even when we had Brent Skinner on the podcast, they got like 8 partners in their business, but they're all incentivized based on what they bring in
revenue.
Then they do their profit distributions.
Yeah.
I like models like that because partnerships can be so valuable in building multiple business ventures.
Is divide and conquer.
If it's structured.
Right.
Right, which it's usually not. That's why there's that old saying that the most ships that sink are partnerships. It's like one of the oldest sayings in the book when it comes to partners.
I never heard that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, no, I mean, it's partnerships definitely aren't easy. And again, you don't have to have partnerships to run several businesses.
You don't.
I mean, if you are the type of...
You got to have a team.
Yeah, you do have to have a team. That was where I was going to lead in next is, if you've... And again, the first thing that you've or whatever it is that you're doing now should be turning a profit by now before you're starting to, again, move to the next thing. And if it's not and you're just already moving to the next thing, then just walk away from it if that's the case. Or put somebody else in charge that their time is focused on that business. And maybe you do what Homeboy in Texas told us about the moving company.
Right.
Giving 1% equity of the business per year for up to 10 years.
Yeah.
What this does to a leader or an operations manager, it incentivizes them, one, to stay around long term, a minimum of at least 10 years because they're getting 10% equity. They're obviously getting their salary over the course of that time,
right.
but what you're doing is building loyalty. And then after 10 years, who's going to walk away from a business when they have 10% ownership? Right. And so what he's doing, he's incentivizing these people. Every single year that they're working for that company, they're getting another percentage of that business. So by default, no matter what, their income's going to increase year after year after year after year, right? There's multiple ways to do it. So you can incentivize people that way. You could do the profit sharing thing. Say, hey, here's our overhead with an operations manager. Our overhead's $80,000 a month. What I'll do is I'll do 10% profit sharing, anything above that.
Right.
So you get $120,000. There's $40,000. That person gets a $4,000 bonus that month because they get their 10%.
Right.
Or whatever. There's several ways to slice it and dice it. But no matter what, make sure whoever's the lead and running that company is incentivized to run that company like it's theirs.
Yep.
Because otherwise they can sit on a salary, just milk the salary. You're nowhere to be found because you're focusing on your next business, and then that business ultimately takes a dive, right? So you want to make sure they have some sort of vested interest in treating the business like it's their baby too,
right.
Just like you did, right? When
absolutely.
You were originally growing it. So,
dude, I actually want to go back to where you said, don't try and start anything else until you have your profit. Your first one profitable, because our business ventures have always funded our new business ventures.
Exactly.
As well as paid us.
Yeah.
In order to survive and pay our families. We've taken a lot of sacrifices along the way.
Yeah.
But there are people that go out and they raise money, and I'm not saying that way doesn't work. I've never done it.
Yeah.
We've always built our businesses off of cash. Either our own cash
or to survive on credit cards when we hit down times. We've never took a loan or an investor's money. We never borrowed or begged.
Rounds of funding.
Never.
Or anything like that. And so I couldn't really speak on how to build a business like that by raising money or whatever, but I can definitely vouch that it's worked for us to fund our own companies ourselves and create our multiple streams of income. And we've never done that until we've had profit in order to do it.
Yeah.
So
once a business hits a certain point, it's able to sustain itself.
Yeah.
And you've got the leaders in there that know your systems, know your processes, and you trust them. Put them on the salary or whatever it is to operate the business with little incentives along the way so that they stay on point and they don't want to lose out on that opportunity of a good income. Exactly. And then you have consistency from that business that's funding another business or whatever it is so that you can put your time and attention. Because I do think serial entrepreneurs get bored after about 3 to 5 years with one business. Yep. Because they've got wandering eyes, so to speak, right?
Mm-hmm. They want to build something new. I mean, that fulfills them, right?
Yeah,
dude, it's time for me to build something new.
When it's not challenging as much anymore, when you kind of know the systems and the processes and the business, you're like, now I'm just showing up and we're just kind of going through the motions, right? What else can I do? Mm-hmm. And then you look for other opportunities to start growing things. And in some cases, you make bad decisions like we've made. Yeah. Just chasing money, throwing our money all over the place, hoping our money makes us money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've said it 100 times.
Yeah,
right?
we have.
Every time we've chased a quick buck, we get burned.
We get burned. Yeah.
The ones we go into, okay, man,
This is going to take 3 to 5 years.
It's going to be hard, and it's, those are the ones that work.
Yeah,
the hardest ones are the ones that work.
Yeah, that take the real time and effort to actually build something rather than throwing money at it and just all of a sudden a flood of money coming back.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying somebody can't get lucky and win a lottery, and I mean, hopefully the investment we made with that software company works out, and we threw $100,000 at it. Hopefully in 5 years it ends up being millions of dollars as projected, right?
Exactly.
We'll see what happens with that, but. Again, it's not like we're sitting here banking on it,
Yeah, those are the type of investments you don't throw out unless you can afford to lose them, so.
High risk software type shit. But, what we really wanted to do is just touch on a few different things that we've done to have several different businesses. One, we do have partnerships. Like Kale said, his strength, he's very good at networking and creating long-term relationships, even if something's not unfolding immediately. Me, I'm a little bit different. I'm like, hey, where's the fucking business? Are we doing business together or not? If we're not, just tell me.
Yeah.
And so I'm a little bit more eager. So I just don't have the patience for that. But I love building relationships with employees and building teams and love the culture.
You're great at it, dude. I've seen that for a long time, and that's why I've always felt like, dude, that's a piece that I can do, just not naturally as great as you, right? And so to recap, dude.
Focus on your strengths.
Knowing your strengths, right? Aligning yourself and your team, whether it's a partner or not, to bring those strengths in if you're going to start new ventures. I like monetizing. I like thinking of ways I can create more value and bring in more revenue off of
the
one customer or the business model in multiple different ways. And I love networking. Those are the things I geek out on, right?
Yeah.
That I feel like I'm pretty good at. And so
let's give a couple examples with that. So with an accounting firm, you could make extra money doing financial advising outside of it, right? Money under management, all that. With a credit repair company, we could, after we repair their credit, get them access to some credit cards. Or why did they want to repair their credit originally? They wanted to buy a home? Okay, let's set them up with somebody who does loans in all 50 states. That lead is valuable to that individual.
People buy information all the time.
And we're still giving the individual what they wanted. They came to us for credit repair to buy a home. Okay, we got you credit repair. Why don't you use this person to buy a home?
Right.
Or why don't you do that? Anyways, the idea is how can you build upon what you already have? Right? If you're a landscaper and you put in landscaping, maybe you have a maintenance division. And you say, hey, we can maintain this lawn for you for X. You've got to think outside of just what it is that you're doing. And Kale does a great job of hey, let's try this. Let's sell the tax plan. Let's do, coming up with different concepts, just little, what you would call buckets, other buckets around your business that you could make money off of, but that gel very well with your business so that it's not sleazy. You don't want to just sell everything under the sun, put in their landscaping and be like, oh, I do mobile detail too. Can I wash your car on Saturday?
I'm not going to go sell your information to some huge mortgage company just to make a quick buck on your name and information. But I will refer you to somebody that's vetted, that's done a great job for us, or that we've done some referrals and then open that door in order to make some money, right? Things like that. So
think outside the box on your business and think of other ways, one, that you can generate more revenue, because maybe if you take a step outside of your business and you're not dealing with the day-to-day operations, I think that's when the best ideas actually happen, is not when you're in the office. When you're in the office, everything's coming at you. Or when you're working, whether it's a plumber, you're on the job, you're focused on the job. You can't free think when you actually got shit to do. When you're in the office, we can't really free think because emails or employees or whatever it is, customers, there's stuff going on. And when you put leaders in place and give them the opportunity to step up and run your businesses, and you're outside of your business a little bit, you're going to have those aha moments every so often where man, what if we tried this? Or what if I did that? And it's usually not inside the walls of your company or whatever it is that you're doing. Usually it's external,
and it doesn't
because your mind is free thinking
right away either. It takes
adjusting, tweaking,
it takes a decent amount of time of effort in that new idea or that monetization model before you really start seeing if it works or not. So there's some patience involved as well, but But yeah, I think those are a lot of good points, man, with people that are asking, how to build multiple business ventures. I would start with that, man. I would double down on things you're already really good at. I would work on developing your team, and the model of incentivizing them and delegating to the right people and all of that. So.
And the individual talked about, like I said, the time slots. Again, I would give the advice of find a good leader. Mm-hmm. That can, as we've just discussed for the last 20 minutes, 30 minutes, finding a good leader that can step in and take whatever role of the business that's doing the best right now, so that you can focus your time and efforts because you're the visionary, you're the entrepreneur, you're the individual responsible for its growth and success. So the startup was obviously going to need more time and attention. So put a leader in place of whatever it is that you're doing so that you can give that startup or whatever that next business a little bit more time and attention. And I think that you'll actually be excited about something new, something different, opportunity again of growing something, because that's always a fun process in the very beginning of starting a business, is just the thought, the hope of growing something special, something big. Yeah. And there's a little excitement that comes along with that. So put the leader in the business that you maybe don't have as much excitement about anymore because you've done it for 5 years or whatever it is, and move on to the next thing.
Because they'll be just as excited about
the opportunity
that you were, and now you are about your new one.
Exactly. Exactly. So that's the type of advice that, or like we talked about, bringing in a partner or giving a leader equity. I mean, there's multiple ways to do it. It's just really up to you on what you feel most comfortable with as an entrepreneur. So, are we going to do a challenge? What's this week's challenge? We didn't do one last week. We're not going to do a challenge when we have a guest on. So
a challenge that I need right now.
I need to start reading again, dude. I've been terrible at that.
I was going to cut out sugar all week, dude, because I've been kind of eating too much sugar, bro. So I was thinking, man, maybe we do a no sugar challenge. Like, I'm not talking like, fruit and like good sugars. I'm talking about refined sugar. No candies.
As long as we can still eat French fries, then I'm good. Don't take French fries out of the diet.
Yeah. Sugar. I noticed I've been eating too much of it lately, so that was gonna be my next one. But
do it.
We could do the reading one.
We can do no sugar. Look, we might as well get that out of the way. We're going to Vegas in a couple weeks. Yeah. And, we'll have some sippers down there, so we'll be drinking some mixers.
Away, huh?
It's a couple of weeks, so we might as well. I got
this family reunion my wife's got me going to next weekend, but
so. Yeah, you'll knock some sugars down there. So we better get the sugar one out of the way now while we're in town and control that shit. So, so now we're going to read a review here. Hustlers Social Club. This is a great podcast. I love the fact that in one of the last podcasts they picked out a review, talked about the other guy's podcast, and he even offered to be on the podcast. That's genuine support that today you won't find often. I struggle with finding good, motivated people to be around. I'm the only one in my camp that has true entrepreneurial spirit, but can't seem to get people on board. So I rely a lot on the podcast, and the Real Business Owners is one of the best by far.
Oh, dude, that's great. Love hearing that.
Hustlers Social Club. We appreciate that, man. We appreciate you. The support is amazing. We've enjoyed doing the podcasts. Mm-hmm. We've enjoyed, doing the social media thing, and this is where we're at with our businesses. We're slowly trying to step back and watch our leaders lead and make sure they're doing a good job so that we can put more time and effort on something new, something exciting like Real Business Owners, and starting that entrepreneurial group, where that you pay a low monthly fee and you're able to be in the group and you're able to communicate with me and Kale and do, Zoom calls once or twice a month, so where we can bring up different topics and maybe go a little bit deeper, do some Q&As.
Right. Help people network, help people, feed each other. Exactly. Like this dude, man, like prime example, he's not around enough entrepreneur people. Well, I can totally relate with that, dude. Yeah. I did that for years.
Exactly.
But now I'm like 90% of the people in my life are entrepreneurial. My brother-in-law, my wife owns a business. My mother-in-law owns a business. You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. Like, you just attract that more in your life.
Well, your Facebook
as you
feed,
continue to stay with it.
Your Facebook feed, when you start joining entrepreneurship groups, change too.
Oh, dude, I don't even see half the people like from my old high school days and stuff on Facebook. I know we're still friends.
I see a bunch of entrepreneurs. Yeah. Hey, this, that, the other. That's what my social media is now. But it's kind of by design.
Yeah.
And so being in a group, with a bunch of entrepreneurs that are very similar, going through that same struggle of not really being around a lot of entrepreneurial-minded people, that's what the groups are about. That's where the power is being able to associate yourself with people in your exact same situation. Yeah. And then, creating those relationships and that network.
Yeah, and it's part of the process, man. Anyone that's brand new to business, they're going to go through that, I'd say 99% of the time. Where it's like you feel like you're the only one in your whole circle that's like you, right?
Yeah.
Like, and then that circle slowly changes.
It does.
It is part of the process. I've noticed quite a bit.
So we're going through that right now too. We're giving our leaders, a little bit more rope and a little bit more room to run and play and, operate our businesses so that we can eventually focus on the Real Business Owners private network group that we'll start here within the next few months. But we hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We hope you guys got value out of the episode. I believe that they did. I thought it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, some good. I mean, dude, it's just real shit we've been through.
It's not really scripted. We don't have much bullet points. I think I have 2 bullet points, but
most of our podcasts are off the cusp.
Yeah. We don't have to really prepare because we've lived it.
Yeah.
For the most part. So, hope you guys have a kick-ass day. We appreciate you tuning in.
Yep. Take care.